KO into the highly green taco and big. So this is as is the first video of 2023, I thought it'd be fitting to review a 2023 set. This one being Jay's Titan Mech, which is a wonderful set. It is very large. The whole thing is here. So that's what it looks like, kind of. I'll be panning it up for the full mech when I'm looking at the mech, so you can actually get a good look at it. But for the time being, we're gonna start with minifigures and the side build. So actually starting, I'm gonna get Jay out of the mech and get the mech out of the shot. It is big. So this is a core set, and as such, you get core J here. And I like how he comes with these nunchucks here. He has the gunmetal hilt or handle, I guess, with the silver chain, which is being a really nice combo. Just looks decent. Now removing that, you can just see the rest of the minifigure. His torso is pretty simple, but I think it's pretty good. The arms are weird. I think it's weird how it's one fully blue arm, and the other one is, I think it's fine that the arms are different colors, but the fact that the hands are both the same or that one of the hands is the same as the sleeve is a bit weird. Like, it's weird to look at, but it's not bad. The legs are sand blue, which I think work great here. It complements the the blue and light yellow very well. Now, looking at the head, it's the same head we've been getting since 2017. I think it's pretty good. This face is a little bit weird. I don't hate it though. Then the back torso print is pretty simple. It just says Ninja in the Ninjago language, so yeah. Also, this armor piece is just the Season 11 armor, which is very good. Moving on to core Nia here. This is the first Nia minifigure I've gotten for quite some time, actually. Last one I got was at the beginning of last year. So her weapon is this giant spear, which I must admit looks pretty cool. I mean, it's hardly even a spear because of how big this sword is. I remember this sword came in Lord of the Rings first, and they've been using it consistently for the last 10 years. So that's kind of cool. And the handle is just, it's pretty similar to what she had in the island, but instead of this being a machete, it's just this arrow. Now moving on to Nia herself. Her primary color scheme is gunmetal. Her legs are dark gray this time around, which like, it looks good. It's consistent. But compared to Jay and actually the other core minifigures as well, it is a bit odd. Because they all have a color that contrasts. I actually have Zane as well. I'm not going to get them down from the shelf though. They have a different color that looks different, and this one just ends up looking kind of odd. Not bad by any means though. The hood is very nice. I believe in this color it has been coming in sets since 2019, including the bandana or whatever around the top, which is fine. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And her head print is, again, the same one that's been coming in sets since the movie. Only this is the better version where each print is different. I actually have that other one that has both prints almost exactly the same. But still, same armor pieces on Jay. I guess I didn't talk about her torso actually. These are kind of like a water or like a wave-like pattern on this side with just like regular roll on the other. And the printing of the middle is metallic blue, which is nice. And the back, similar to Jay's, only this time it's the water pattern and the ninja, or just ninja in their language. Which, and honestly, pretty good minifigure actually. I like it personally. And actually something that is interesting is the fact that she has a similar thing with Jay, where one of her arms is the same color, but it's kind of flipped the other way. So, I don't know. Still good though. I think for this one, it works better than on Jay. Just, yeah, I don't know. And moving on to the last of our protagonist figures, we have, I think it's called Pixelbot. I didn't really look at the name on the box. But it's interesting. You have swords that it can actually store on the side. Then this is a printed tile. It's very nice. And then these legs have been coming in sets since 2 years ago. Wait. Yeah, it was 2 years ago. In the, I believe it was with the Woobots in Seabound. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. Then this is this crest piece that's been coming in sets since 2013 with the final battle recolored here in gold, which is a very nice color. Gold is not new for it though. Now I'm going on to villains here. I'm going to start with the most uninteresting one and work our way up. We have, I don't even remember the name. This is funny. I don't remember the name of the minifigure, but this one is cool. It has this kind of chain design on the torso, the front and the back, which is really good. I love the way it looks. It leads really well into the legs, which kind of metallic printing, kind of knee pads and stuff, and toe printing, which the Ninja do not have. And the head, pretty basic. Actually does have a chin, or it does have a lower print that you can see with the jaw. And actually that is a good point, since I brought that up with the head. The jaw is a new piece for this wave of Ninjago sets. The set comes with a spare, so I have another one. That being this. It's a pretty weird piece, but I think it works really well for what they're doing here, aside from the fact that the head or the face is printed in a paler color. Like, it's supposed to be the same, but Lego's printing quality over there is kind of dwindled. Not as good as it used to be. Then this hat has been coming in sets for years in this color at this point. Now for the weapons, these are these sides that are in a new weapon pack, which includes some other pieces that are on the other figures, but also these bone shurikens, which I love. They're amazing. I'll go over the rest of the weapon pack with the other figures. So moving on to this one. I don't remember what this one called either, but he's got this interesting back attachment, which is definitely kind of weird, but I love it nonetheless. It has this cow skull piece in red, which I believe is new. And the head, lower jaw piece, and torso and legs are exactly the same, but this time it's using the crystallized helmet piece, which is a very nice piece. I personally, this is the first time I've ever gotten it, so yeah. The floor, I think it looks pretty good here as like a minifigure accessory or whatever. And the first time I've ever gotten the Master of the Mountain armor, which is kind of ironic since that's one of my favorite seasons. Which I think it works really well here. It is weird that it's silver as opposed to gunmetal like the helmet, but can't complain too much. But the torso bits are silver. For the weapon, it's just a bone scythe, which looks pretty good. You can only hold it at the bottom, which I think is a bit weird and kind of annoying, but it looks really good, so I'm not going to fault it for that. And that's about it for that. Then the one I know the name of, the Bone King, it dropped his sword. Actually, while it's not in his hand, this is the new sword piece from that weapon pack. It's actually pretty good. It's reminiscent of the Tournament of Elements sword they released back in 2015. Now he just comes with a shield. Pretty common piece, nothing too special. But then this helmet has the last of the pieces for the bone weapon pack, which is just like a sort of crest thing. Now his head is kind of cool. It is spring green, which we don't get super often, and it kind of differentiates him from the rest of the bone villains. It's kind of like a silver mask there, which looks really cool. Oh, I love it. It's good. Then the torso, there's some gold detailing along the his kind of middle section. Then there's like a bone skull logo. And something that's just different about him is that his torso is almost completely red. It's a black torso still. This is printed red, but like the other ones are not. Like they use red as more of a secondary color. He uses it as more of like a primary. Then the legs is this kind of skull knee pads, and then the lower jaw of the skulls is the toes, which I think is nice. And there's kind of just like a belt there with some extra details. Now the cape, I'll turn this around so you can see the back torso print, which looks like a spine going up, and you see the gold coming around to the back. So overall, I think the minifigure selection in this set is really, really good, especially for being an $80 set. So yeah, moving on to the side build. 10 and a half minutes in, haven't even talked about the side build yet. So it comes with an extra one of these missiles, which I will get to what that's for in a moment. But this kind of just like a little ballista cart. Some wagon wheels, just like spin, run-of-the-mill wagon thing. Then minifigure can push it out the back. Then this can pull back. So if you push, so basically, just like shoots. It's really weak, but it also kind of reloads itself, so you can actually get it again. So that's cool. It's like an actual magazine that goes down. They've been using this technique for as long as I can remember, and it's a really good technique, so it's absolutely welcome here. Just the way you reload it is by lifting this up and just slotting them back in. So I think that concludes the minifigures inside build. That's how to get onto the actual mech. So this thing is huge, especially with the sword. So I'm going to go over the sword first so I can get it out of his hand, because it is huge. Easily one of the biggest builds I've ever done. Just like on its own as one single unit. It's enormous. It actually has this new blade piece in gold. It comes in I think it comes in gold, and then there's one of the other sets that comes in where it's like marbled with trans-like blue, which I will be getting that set eventually. I don't have it now, but I will. Just overall giant build. It looks good though. I like the way it's kind of thicker, big, and the crossguard, or I forget what it's called, is this giant shuriken piece from Secrets of Forbidden Spinjitzu. It's been coming in sets pretty consistently for a while now. I don't remember the last time they released it, to my knowledge, was a Zane Mech from last year, which I do own, but that time it was in the light blue. So yeah. Now for attaching it to the hand, it has this little bit here, which just slots in. Pretty simple. The rest of the hills is red, gold, and then this lantern piece, which is consistent on both of the other swords. And yes, there's 3 of them, which is cool. You see the pumpkin piece and then the tassel. So yeah, that's the sword out of the way. Now on to the mech, the big boy. So I'm going to start with the legs. Actually, no, I'm going to remove the other swords and get a look at them. So I'm going to look over one of them. They're both identical. It's kind of a simpler katana, more reasonably sized. There's no size comparison between these. Just like, this one's obscenely large. Like, I could wield this easily. This one, smaller. The crossguard is more basic, which I think is fine. There's 2 of them in the set. The same red hilt, and the bottom is exactly the same. Then this big katana piece that has been coming in sets since 2012. So, yeah, much more basic of a build, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. And again, same thing here. It is time. Now is actually time for the big guy. So, overall, the set has I'm just going to start from the bottom and work my way up. So, starting with the feet, they kind of look like Jordans to me. I can't explain why. They just look like Jordans. They kind of have an indent in the middle here, which is kind of hard to see. Here, I'll move it really quick. You can kind of see there's an indent. And they have these bright orange rubber pieces on the bottom of the feet, which actually are supposed to keep it gripping the ground, which doesn't really work all that well. Overall, I think they're pretty good. There's not much forward or backwards motion because, well, it's giant, needs to be able to stand up properly, which I'm fine with. I'm perfectly fine with sacrificing that playability for stability. Now, moving up the leg, these are symmetrical, by the way. Aside from the thigh, I'll get to that. The the kind of lower leg, it slopes really well into the from the foot, so the foot kind of goes up, continues in white, and continues the white going up to the knee. And it's pretty thin. It's 2 studs thick at the base, and then it kind of thickens up a little bit at the middle with the stickered piece, which looks good. Same on both sides. And then it has this core Evo armor piece, which was introduced last year with those sets, and I actually have a couple of them already in this color. So I'm not getting them new here, but they are still very nice to get. It's a great piece. And actually, you will notice they remolded this, I believe, in 2021, but this kind of bionicle socket piece was remolded last year from its CCBS counterpart, which I think is good. And that actually brings me to my favorite part about this mech, the knees. It has knees. We don't usually get mechs of this scale with knees. It's becoming more common, which I love. So, yeah, just thought I'd point out here is a pretty big part of the set. These are where the swords attach. The top one can be posed around for some reason. Don't really know why. I'm not complaining. And that's the one difference from side to side. So this one has the pins, this side doesn't. So, yeah. And you have this kind of armor scaling up, going up to the thigh. Then, of course, you have just the back is just blue and the bottom of plates and stuff. So, yeah. And actually, the top of the legs, they have these kind of AT joints, or heavy Technic joints, which can ratchet. And then they can go in one and out one. It's so thin that I can't do anything else in that. So, that being said, up more. I would like to go freehand, so not really another way I can do this. So the torso, it's pretty nice. You have this, it goes down a little bit to kind of fill out this section a little bit. And it's an interesting shape too. It's like, you can see it kind of angles up in the middle here. That was an interesting technique that I wasn't expecting. I didn't know that was there going into this. So that was a pleasant surprise. A little sort of heart light here, I guess you could call it. They use a white half pin here, which is a very common piece, but seeing it in white is a first for me personally. And this stickered piece here, which I haven't looked into what that says. I probably should though. And of course, inside the cockpit is very simple, nothing special there. Actually pretty not very detailed. But Jay stands in there initially. That didn't happen. Initially I thought he was supposed to sit, but he stands. And then of course you have the neck and the head. It is weird that there's a neck, but it gives Jay space, so yeah. And actually, on the topic of the head, this you have this pretty substantial bit of like a hair, you could call it, which I think looks really good. It is a bit of a shame that these fall due to gravity, but there's not much the designers could do about that. Even adding one wouldn't really help, I wouldn't think. But it looks good, and they use these kind of hose pieces, these bionicle pieces that they've been using since, what, 2007? So it's good to see that here. I don't have very many of it, so. And while we're here, maybe look at the back of the torso. Pretty barren, not much to see there, which is fine. I'm not expecting the most out of a mech back. Now, since we're up here as well, there's these giant cannons, which look pretty good actually. The building these, at first I was like, these don't look very good. Then I finished it and I was like, oh yeah, that's pretty decent. Now it uses this new, I want to say 2x6. Yeah, it's a 2x6 or 7 plate. I think it's 6 or brick that has this new kind of missile. And there's the big red button on the back. And just press it and it just shoots. So, and that's gone. But yeah, just kind of how it looks without it. And this is kind of a simpler system than they had before with the big Technic ones. Not as versatile, but I understand the change. So the arms have pretty full range of motion. The same kind of joint is on the leg, only it's the smaller variant of it. It's not as large. No, actually, I can just set it down for this part, since it's good enough for that. So this is the bend at the elbow, pretty standard stuff. And then there's a wrist with the hand. Now, this hand is very chunky. It is large and a little awkward to pose at times, but it looks good. So I'll give it a pass here. Also, the thumb is very nice to pose. It's a lot more posable than I thought it was going to be. But yeah, the hand is chunky. Can't really move it back that far, which is fine. Can't move a human. Like in real life, it can't really move your hand back that far. But down, and it restricts it to the size a little bit sometimes. It just feels awkward. It doesn't actually restrict it, but it just feels like that sometimes. So, and those are the same on each side. So overall, I feel like that wraps this up pretty well. So, I mean, I love the set. I'd recommend it. If you want to get it, go for it.